Let's welcome Sharon Spell, everybody. So I've graduated from college with a painting degree in South Mississippi. And yeah, so naturally the next step I make is I move to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yeah. And I moved there because I have a friend there in graduate school and no other plans. But I like Pittsburgh. I find work there in the museums, and I get a job at a coffee shop, and I make friends, and I get a feeling of independence because I went to college in my hometown, and so I'm in this new city, and I think, well, I have no family here to embarrass. So maybe I could try stand-up comedy for the first time, because it's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid, and it's fun, and I like this new comedy world. And so like I'm planting seeds in this new city, but I'm also dating a guy overseas in Edinburgh, Scotland, and we date overseas back and forth for 2 years, and then we get married. Yeah. I find out after the wedding, though, that things weren't as I thought, because I had in my mind that at some point we would move to New York or Los Angeles, because the industry I wanted to be part of were mainly based there. I love Pittsburgh, don't get me wrong, but I thought we don't have family here, so we're going to move. And I proposed this to him after the wedding, and he says, no. Pittsburgh is too big of a city. I don't want to live in a city. And my heart drops, and I don't know what to do, because my parents have been married since 1958. And they told me and my siblings, when you get married, that's it. So I start to think, well, I have friends here, and I've planted seeds, so bloom where you're planted. And I find a way to make it work so that I can be a good spouse. And I do, even though my husband then starts to say, you're going to have to pay for anything you want to do. Also, after the wedding, he stopped going to his job. In the first year of marriage, we accumulated $17,000 of debt. I say we because when he got a new job, it was his money and our debt. But I find a way, where there's a will, there's a way. And I saved money from my jobs to produce and make a comedy CD, and I found a way to go on the road with it, and I found a way to come to New York City with it, or go to Los Angeles with it. But I would find that I would have chats with people who could see the big picture like I could, and they would say, well, come to this thing next week, and I would have to say, well, I won't be here next week. Can we do something now? And it was just not the right time. Years of this happened, 8 years. And I start to see my dream of pursuing this bigger career wilting on the vine. And also, my husband's anger issues had grown unchecked for a while, because I just got tired of fighting him. And by this point, he was saying things to me like, well, I'm the one with the real job. You're the one being out fabulous every night. And for anyone who's ever tried comedy on stage, you know how hilarious that statement is. But it had grown to the point where he had kicked me out of bed in our home, and I was sleeping on the couch. And I had also developed a very heavy drinking habit to try to escape, because I couldn't see the escape anymore. But then the people I knew in Pittsburgh started talking about comedy classes being offered in New York, and I mentioned it to husband. And to my surprise, he says, I think that's a good idea. And my gut tells me, go, make plans, figure it out. And I do, because again, he doesn't help me get to the classes. I raise money, and people help me make this dream happen. And I find a room to sublet in Astoria, and plan to be in New York for 3 months. And I think, well, maybe this will be the thing that'll make him see how happy I am, and maybe his anger will subside, and maybe, and I'm thinking this as I'm packing the car that June morning to drive from Pittsburgh to New York, and I get on the road and I'm listening to Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life, and I'm overwhelmed at a point because I'm still thinking that this marriage is salvageable. As angry and mean as he's been to me throughout the marriage, I'm thinking, well, maybe this will be the thing that gets him on my side, and we're on the same side as partners. And my gut starts laughing at me. I start laughing at that because that's not true. And I realize this is the beginning of the end of the old life and the beginning of the start of the new life. And I start weeping at the recognition of that truth. And as I barrel toward New York in that rental car, I start thinking, well, maybe this time I'll break through the soil. Thank you.